Hello and welcome to Total Villain Multiverse episode 4. We're really getting into it now. As you all saw last time, we will be starting our videos with Boney Island even before the pre-challenge section, which I think is a fun little change of pace, and I really just like the concept of having this Boney Island thing. And this one, oh my gosh, I can't talk. This one is going to be a pretty important one, as are a lot of them. I mainly did this so that we can focus on a lot of the characters who aren't in as big of plot lines, and I know won't be in as big of plot lines for at least a little bit to like really show off in these sections. So that's not to say everyone that goes to Boney Island won't be in a big plot line, but that's just saying, like, for example, Venom, I don't plan on having him do too much for a bit, so now he gets to show off a little here. But let's see how well he does in our Boney Island section. So, in this section, everyone is still dropped off on the island as they were last time. But with these three newbies, I think that they'd all split up first, especially Venom, knowing that his weakness is fire, and Azula is a extremely powerful firebender and lightning bender. So he would dip, and I think that Magica would also teleport herself away as well. Well, a few hours into the night, Venom ends up running into Azula, and whenever he does, he starts to try to run away again because he knows there's no chance for him. But Azula chases him through the forest, blasting fire everywhere. Now, eventually, one of these fireballs hits him, and this obviously makes the symbiote freak out. So, and by the way, Eddie Brock is in Venom, but like it doesn't really matter, at least not yet. But yeah, the symbiote freaks out and crawls into the woods, leaving just Eddie there. And she electrocutes him to death, and then throws a fireball at Venom as well. So 2 reboot cards spawn. But Eddie will never really be like a important character. So unknowingly, while she's done all this burning, she accidentally ran straight into the advantage of the day. So she picks it up, happy, but then realizes, wait, I was blasting fire all through the woods. And she turns around to see a massive forest fire has been created. Now, she freaking runs out of there. She ends up grabbing the Venom and Eddie's reboot cards, by the way, because if the reboot cards break, then Venom's done. He's into the final reality. He can't leave. He'll be Puss in Boots status. And she only cares about that because she doesn't want to be kicked out of the game. If not, then she would just be like one last competitor. Well, unbeknownst to her, while she burned down the forest, Magica had been teleporting around, not searching for the advantage, but searching for, well, I guess it is an advantage, but not the challenge advantage, but the team swap advantage. And as it all burned, the wind blew the team swap advantage, because it's like a piece of paper, right? But not just paper, you know what I mean? Kind of like how it is in Survivor. Well, it blows up into the air, and she sees it, so she teleports up and grabs it, and now Magica has officially claimed the team swap advantage. She has a few ideas on how to use it, but she doesn't know, like, she's not going to just do it, right? She's got to think, and it's really early in the game right now. So, she decides not to tell anybody. Well, I guess I should say everyone is brought back. Venom and Eddie are rebooted, and they go back to being a symbiotic relationship. And yeah, everyone just goes back to their teams. Fiore is disappointed in Venom, but they're at least chill right now, so she doesn't care too much. While Azula people are very happy with her on her team since she got it, the advantage for them. And I think Alejandro has a newfound respect for Sloane and Azula for making a plan to send Azula there. By the way, the place was that obviously half of Boney Island was freaking burned to the ground. Now that half is going to stay burned. And then as for Magica, she comes back and she's like, yeah, guys, sorry, I didn't find anything. But then tells only the Mimic. Both of them have decided to ally with Vader since they're the majority alliance, which pick them off if they don't. But she decides to tell only the Mimic that she has found the team swap advantage, and the Mimic is very happy about this. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the Boney Island section. But even so, I don't even think the pre-challenge section has too much to talk about, because I think I just kind of talked about it. The only things I can really say is, honestly, not too much. I guess I can say that Alejandro has convinced Heather to let Harley and Toga hang out at least a little bit, so that Toga is not on him 24/7. Now, Harley is thankful for this, but she still doesn't like Heather. But this is like one of the reasons she doesn't plan on just flipping and eliminating Heather immediately. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it for our pre-challenge section. So we are going to go into our challenge section. Now, if y'all remember, I did say Squidbot's challenge was next, and while that is true, this is going to be our first partially suggested of the season. Now, last season, if y'all saw a partially suggested challenge, that meant that while it is your challenge, I did change one big part to either appeal to the lore more, or just because I thought it would fit a little better. Whatever, it's my show, sue me. Well, for this one, they had originally suggested heroes for this challenge, but instead I replaced them because I think it would be better for the lore with the MFA. So let me go ahead and bring up the MFA here. And before we talk about our challenge, I just want to talk about the MFA for a second because they have actually acquired a few new members. Now, one member they didn't acquire is N over here. N is here because they needed 15 people, and they only had 14 right now. And, I mean, like, if Lauren wasn't hosting the show, she would be part of the MFA, which means by extension, N would be part of the MFA since N and Lauren are really good friends anyway. So, yeah, I think it fits. But the two main ones that y'all want to know about, don't ask why Amity teleported, are Amity and Marco. Now, y'all do remember, or y'all should remember from last episode, Marco wanted to join, and Ezekiel wanted Marco to join since there was only one guy. And Marco has a friendship, but it's pretty much a relationship. They're still friends right now with Star. Now, as for the other newbie, Amity has a relationship with Luz. Now, not everyone that joins the MFA throughout the season. Also, I should say that the entire MFA is not the cast for Season 4. That is not a thing that's happening. There may or may not be some, but that's not what I'm doing. Because I don't want to have it to where we know the whole cast before they're like halfway through Season 3 like I did for Season 2. Because it was cool then, but I think if I did it twice, it'd be too predictable. So I can confirm right now that next season is not only the MFA. And it's not going to get that many new people in it. I just need these new people for lore. And may or may not have some of them return. But anyways, yeah, she has a relationship with Luz. She's also just a goated character in general. But that's all that there is for the MFA right now. So let's get into, oh my goodness, I just realized it's challenge 50. We have gone to our 50th challenge, y'all. We'll probably get to 100, maybe a little over 100 challenges by the time the series is over. But this is challenge 50, MFA's Revenge, partially suggested by Squidbot372. During Lauren's trip last challenge, she convinced the MFA to be a part of the next challenge. The villains will have to capture 5 members and bring them to the reality hangar. Anything goes minus killing, unless it's N, though for him, it'd be not killing him to the point where he's just a torso. So N can regenerate, but, like, obviously he doesn't want to get to a point where regeneration is going to take that long. Also, it's still painful for him. And hint, hint, Sin, because, you know, Sin and N have a little bit of a past. So the first team to catch all their victims wins immunity. To make sure Alejandro's allies don't have an advantage, he will need to sit out one contestant. And since this is a challenge where you're not allowed to kill, he decides to take out Toga. Now, this makes Toga feel a little bad, but he explains to her, I'm going to put her in the pre-challenge section since a lot of people are already going to go in the challenge section. But he tells her that she'll be disqualified if she does kill somebody, and he just doesn't trust the fact that she'll hold back, unlike, heck, even Afton, who will have to hold back a lot since most of these people are kids. Just not like young kids, but still kids. Although I guess by this point, like, Luz would probably be, like, 17 by this point. Well, I guess, I don't know. Because should I say they biologically age the same, or do they only age when they're in their reality? I kind of like them only aging when they're in their reality. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think that that's fair, just because it won't really work for a lot of the things I have planned if Luz is, like, an adult. So Luz is still, like, I don't even know, like 15 at this point, 14. But the entire time she was gone, I guess she just wasn't aging. So, yeah, that's a little perk of being outside your own reality. That's also why a lot of the Fortnite characters have been able to live for thousands of years, because none of them are from that reality, Reality Zero. So, anyways, yeah, I think that Toga would sit out here. Now, as for the advantage that Azula found, if someone has an advantage from Boney Island, their team will be granted a tracking device for all 15 MFA members. Now remember, you only need to find 5, but if you find 6, that could hurt somebody else, or one of the other teams that you want to lose. So say Alejandro's allies have 5, but they want Heather's Herd, who has 4, to not find one. So they use their tracking device to not find one so that Fiore's favorites can win and they go to elimination. So Alejandro's allies can use their tracking device to go find the one that's near Heather before Heather finds it, right? So I don't know if that'll actually happen, but that's basically the point of that. So we enter the challenge. Oh, by the way, a lot of the MFA is pissed at Lauren for not telling them that it's this kind of challenge, but she says that they are allowed to use lethal force, mainly because almost all of them don't want to use lethal force and won't kill somebody outside of like and maybe like lose if it comes down to it. But I think that everyone is given a really big head start, like a really big head start, because you have people like Sin and Wanda on here. So they kind of break into groups, and those groups are Anne and Marcy, Patrice, Ezekiel, Tristan, and Lena. Actually, I think Lena wouldn't go with. Well, yeah, I think we want to have some new stuff. So I actually think we get. Let me separate them. We get Anne and Marcy. We get the Goths, Patrice and Ezekiel. The Goths over here, along with Luz. Actually, Luz goes with Girl Time over here with Toph and Star, which Marco would probably go with Ezekiel since they're kind of becoming chill. Green Shadow goes with Kissy and Applejack, and In is on his own. So, I think that at first, Heather's Herd and Fiore's favorites would be pretty lost. Because even with their abilities, Sin can't just black hole the entire island, because not only would that kill everybody, but she would be kicked out, and she can't use lethal force, which honestly kind of means that Sin is kind of useless for this challenge, because I don't even know what non-lethal crap she can do. What can she even do as an attack that is non-lethal to a human or humanoid? Because everyone here is human or humanoid. So I guess she probably just starts going on her own after Sin. But I think that the others on Fiore's favorites would probably try to stick in a bit of a pact. They probably send Zombie Wanda out as well. So they send their two most powerful people out because they believe that Zombie Wanda can just freaking use magic and then like paralyze them. Also, Sasha has to be around Zombie Wanda, which is annoying, but she thinks it's worth it because she doesn't want Sasha freaking committing suicide. Yes, she is that mentally unwell. So, anyways, that is really dark, but that's how bad it is. It's freaking Scarlet Witch, yo. So, I think that the first team that would run into them, though, I mean, I guess I can go over Heather's strategies, which is mainly just Death's teleporting around. These three are sticking together, and these three are sticking together. But Alejandro's allies, holy voice crack, are going to be sticking together throughout the challenge. And I think that with their tracking device, I think that they'd probably want to go for a big clump of people. So they'd probably go for, they also know who's who. So like each tracker says like, this is Ezekiel's tracker, this is Tristan's tracker. So they go for the ones they think will be the least of a fight, and they go for Patrice, Ezekiel, and Marco. Now, I think that actually this would go kind of good for the MFA trio, because Marco is a experienced karate fighter. Patrice won last season and survived in the zombie apocalypse and was just overall really strong. And Ezekiel, while he is still a little slow sometimes, he's really become quite the smart and strong dude over all of the stuff he's been through since Multiverse Season 1 and like being feral for all that time and all that. So I actually think they'd be able to dodge enough attacks, and Patrice has beat Zomboss in a one-on-one fight before in the comics, yes, there's Plants vs. Zombies comics, multiple times. So I actually think that she'd be able to get the upper hand on Zomboss and kill Zomboss, because she knows that, well, one, that Zomboss is responsible for a lot of the zombie stuff that's happened, and two, she knows they'll be respawned anyway. So yeah, Zomboss ends up getting out. Also, if you get killed, you're done. So he gets out, and at this point, I think Marco would try to go up against like Bowser and Andreas, and then just get stepped on and killed. Sorry to the Marco fans that he won't be getting too much screen time, but I mean, it sounds about right for him. Seeing this, BFGF over here run into the woods as Springtrap pursues them. Springtrap, William Afton, whatever you want to call him, pursues them, saying to the other five that they need to continue on so that they can find more people. Now, the other person that splits up with them, though, is Sloan. And Sloan says, guys, I'll take Marco over here to the reality hangar. Now, I should say that when he gets stepped on, he doesn't get stepped on his head, because that almost happens, because Bowser wants to freaking kill him, right? But he moves his foot just in time to just crush his legs, which, yes, is incredibly painful, and it's still just agony, but, you know, it's not killing him. So yeah, he just doesn't have legs, but he's still trying to punch Bowser, punch Sloane. But Sloane, she knows all the freaking fighting techniques and stuff from like countless realities, so it's not really a big deal. Well, we'll pick up with Sloane more in a minute, but that does mean that she does eventually get him to the reality hangar, though. So I'm gonna put any dead villains. I'm gonna put in the challenge area, and then I'm gonna put the eliminated MFA members in the post challenge area, and then Toga's just vibing in pre-challenge. Just because I want to keep everything separated so I don't get mixed up. Also, I'm keeping that there so I don't forget their score. Anyways, we get on to, I think Heather's Herd would eventually find Kissy, and that's because Kissy is so big, she ends up trying to get to the cave where Green Shadow and Applejack are hiding, but after her head's poking up, and she freaking hears the first group of girls, because remember, they've split up a little bit, so these three, coming after her, she starts running at them to attack them while she tells Green Shadow and Applejack to run for it. Now, I actually think that Daisy, Heather, and Harley probably also don't beat Kissy. Maybe Harley could do some damage with her bat, but if y'all seen how Kissy, at least the boy version of Kissy, Huggy Wuggy was moving in one of those trailers, bro, he was chomping on him. And these are all three just basic humans. Just one's an asshole, one's mentally ill, and the other's depressed and mentally ill. And also an asshole. They're all just mentally ill, depressed assholes. So I actually think Kissy's able to take down all three of them, but in doing so, she actually lures another person, which is Sin. And Sin is very easily able to contort all her limbs, and I don't know what it is with broken limbs this time around, but she ends up throwing Kissy all the way across the island straight into the reality hangar, which Cave's part of the wall in, with perfect aim. So, yeah, which is like really, really far, but just shows Sin's feats. And also Kissy's still alive. After this, we kind of move into a bit of a compilation of a lot of things happening. One, I think that, honestly, we don't need to go over every single little thing. So instead, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring you up to 3. I'm going to bring you up to 2. Herd, I accidentally deleted the D. And I'm going to bring you up to 4. Now, yes, this does mean that I need to kill off 4 plus 3 is 7. I need to kill off 7 people. And I think that those people are, I think that, honestly, I think Afton is able to take down these 2. I think that, especially with him, he doesn't have his original axe because Sloane took it, but he does have a axe that was provided to him, like a fire axe, which still is more than these 2 can handle. I think Sin is not able to find In, but Scarlet Witch does, and she rips his head off, which is allowed, since technically he still has all his limbs and he'll regenerate his head. He does in the first episode of Murder Drone, so that happens. The other 4 that I think would be killed off are just random. I think that Marcy gets killed, I think, by Andreas. A lot of people are going after certain people, right? So I think another one is, I think Applejack probably can't handle that much, so she gets killed. And then we can also say Tristan. I don't think Tristan makes it that much, but maybe Lena and Amity are able to escape. And then finally, we can say, even though Amity was able to escape, Luz wasn't. So, well, she wasn't even in the same area, but they both, Luz died. So, or well, not died, but was captured. None of these people died. So this is our current standings. The only members of the MFA left are Anne, Lena, Amity, Toph, Star, and Green Shadow. So everyone's kind of split up right now, except for Lena and Amity and then Toph and Star. But they know how many of them are left, so they're going to try to meet up together. Because they all have the trackers too, by the way. They don't have the trackers for the villains, but they have trackers for the other heroes. So as they try to meet up, I think that, who do I think is getting jumped? I think not Zombus, because he's dead. Oh, also in that crossfire, I should say, I think that Sonar probably gets out here, and like, I don't even know, we can say freaking Bowser got taken down at some point, and Fiore. Actually, I don't think anybody would kill Fiore. I don't think anyone would want to, because she's so young. which means that she probably got one of the bodies then. She probably got Applejack. Yeah, Applejack would be like, I'm not hurting this little kid. And then Fiore's like, all right, bitch. And then just freaking destroys her. So I think that's probably how that would go. But anyways, I think we should probably go to Sloane's bit now. So Sloane took Marco to the reality hangar, and after dropping him off, she went over to the control panel while no one else was in there. Now, Marco sees her doing this, but he doesn't really know what she's doing. But he can tell that she's not supposed to be doing it. However, she tells him that she doesn't care. She will kill him and his entire family. Everyone he loves. She'll kill Star. She'll kill his mom, his dad, his freaking karate instructor. She'll kill everybody he loves, and then him if he says a word. So Marco is not too happy about that, but she inputs something into the reality hangar, which, by the way, the reality hangar has a lot of 0-point energy in it. And it's kind of like it's going to be converted into something else, which I haven't said what that is yet. I'm still not going to say what it is, but it has a lot of leftover 0-point energy, and it's still under construction right now. That's why they're using it for this challenge, because not much is in there right now. But that control panel is, and what she does is she uses all this leftover 0-point energy to open a portal. Now, she doesn't actually go into the portal and escape, but she does go into the portal and grab some stuff. More on that later, but she is pretty much out of the challenges. She's not really competing and helping her team that much anymore. She feels fairly confident about her spot in the game anyway, especially with Alejandro's newfound respect for her, and Azula. But I do think that the next team to get a body would be, I think Anne is jumped by Death, which would be very symbolic for Anne. I think Anne and Death could have a pretty cool dynamic. But this is kind of the only spot where it's going to be really explored. So Anne is jumped by Death, and there's a really cool battle. But I think that eventually, especially with Anne not going through the entirety of her arc in Amphibia, I don't think she'd be able to handle Death, at least not yet. So I think Death does get the upper hand, and she's defeated and brought over, teleported over, because Death can do that, to the reality hangar. Now, one thing I will say is everyone is in the reality hangar right now. When the stuff with Sloane happened, Marco was the only one in the reality hangar. And also, like, halfway through the day, Lauren showed up with a bunch of one-up mushrooms because she didn't realize how intense the villains were going to be going, which everyone is kind of mad at her about. Well, I think that after this, Green Shadow ends up finding these four, because these four are sticking together. Remember, these two are on their own. So she finds these four, and after running away, and she sneaks up on Fiore. After seeing Fiore kill Applejack, she knows Fiore is like a demon child, so she ends up killing Fiore. And then she starts going freaking ham, fighting Rouge and Venom at the same time. Also, it's these three. I forgot Sasha's with Wanda. My bad. So she starts fighting Venom and Rouge at the same time. And I think this is where Vader comes in, blasts Venom and Rouge to the side, and then chokes out Green Shadow. Not to the point of killing her, but until she passes out. And then he uses the Force to transport her all the way to the reality hangar, where she's given a one-up mushroom. The one-up mushrooms, by the way, I mean, like, even if you're not dead, if you're given a one-up mushroom, it just heals you back to, like, kind of like if it was a health bar, it'd heal you back to full health, right? So Green Shadow's eliminated, and they're brought up to 4. Now, this actually causes Venom to attack Vader, and there was no rule set about villains killing other villains. So Vader pulls out his lightsaber that he's been granted and slices clean in half through Venom, meaning that's the second time Venom's been killed this video. Now he'll be given a one-up mushroom, but you know, he's out of the challenge. So we've got 4 people left on each of the teams. We have 2 of those teams at 4, and we have 1 of those teams at 3. And then there's 4 MFA members left, which are Lena, Amity, Toph, and Star. Now, they all end up meeting up in the middle, where I think that at that time, Heather's Herd shows up first, along with Vader, who's a little behind them. Then Alejandro's allies all show up, along with Afton, who's a little behind them. And then Fiore's favorites show up, along with Wanda and Sin, who meet up. So everyone is surrounding Lena, Amity, Toph, and Star. And then absolute chaos breaks out. Now, I didn't on purpose leave 4 people that all have very powerful powers. Star has a lot of freaking girly magic, but it's still powerful magic. Amity can control abomination like goo, which if you don't know what that is, it's very powerful, and they can like you can like summon stuff too, like enemies to fight for you. Toph can earthbend, and Lena, I don't actually really understand her power set that well, but she can do like Danny Phantom things. So yeah. So I think that overall they'd be able to hold their own quite well, especially with Toph now not holding back at all and just straight up crushing people, because she's, when you think about it, she could just, and then you're dead. So I think Alejandro probably goes. I think Sasha probably goes. Although they would hesitate a little bit on Sasha, just because, remember, Sasha is still a lot of their friends, but she also, by the way, completely ignored Marcy and Anne, even though they tried to talk to her before the challenge started. She completely ignored them, which they were very concerned about, but they never got another chance to talk to him. But anyways, I think that a few others might die here and there, but that doesn't really matter, because all that to say, the team that gets the final kill and end up killing Lena is... So I just quickly moved everybody back so that I didn't have to do it in a minute because the recording kind of cut out. But anyways, it is Heather's Herd. So they kill Lena and win immunity. However, because they win immunity, there still is a chance for either Alejandro's allies or Fiore's favorites to win immunity. And when that happens, I think that the next body that is caught is Toph, who ends up getting freaking thrown straight headfirst into the freaking reality hanger, which, by the way, has had a lot of damage done to its walls, so the construction might take a little bit longer now. Well, yeah, she's thrown by the Fiore's favorites, which gets them up to 4. And this means that all of Alejandro's allies that are still alive go after Amity, while all of Fiore's favorites that are still alive go after Star. And while I think both are gonna be injured, and they both would technically be thrown into the reality hanger, I think that when it comes to who gets to the reality hanger first, no matter what happens, I think it's gotta be Fiore's favorites here because of just the kind of people they have. So, boom, Star is killed, and, well, not killed, Star is injured and taken to the reality hanger, meaning that Fiore's favorites also win, sending Alejandro's allies to elimination. Now, whenever Toga comes back, she tells, moving into our post-challenge section, she tells Alejandro that they totally would have won had he let her play. And Alejandro's like, I don't know, I just didn't want to risk you going home because I care about you or whatever. And she's like, aww, because she's a freak. Well, most of the MFA leaves Lauren pretty pissed off. Obviously, they're still friends with her, but they're just not in the best mood. However, Anne and Marcy want to confront Sasha after what happened in the challenge today of them completely ignoring them. So, they try to find, or they end up finding Sasha as she's leaving the bathroom later in the day. And they confront her, and they're like, dude, why weren't you talking to us today? We were trying to catch up. And she starts going, and then Zombie Wanda comes up, and she's like, oh, she's just thinking about the game show, and what she wants to do throughout these next few eliminations. You know, it's just strategy. Marcy, you played the game before, right? And Marcy's like, yeah. Well, you see a faint red glow around Sasha's ears, and she's like, yeah, I'm just trying to focus on the game. We'll catch up later. All right, bye, guys. And she just leaves. And they're both like, oh, hell no, that was weird. So Marcy and Anne are very suspicious, but Marco is also suspicious of somebody. Now, he leaves, but the person he's suspicious of, I can't say that word, is Sloane. And, well, I think we're going to save the Sloane thing for post-credits, because I want to talk about... Oh, I should probably bring everybody up here. I want to talk about how I think Elimination's going to go today. Well, with this newfound respect of Azula, which, by the way, they had the freaking tracker and they still lost, so that shows you that even because you get an advantage, that doesn't mean you get an automatic win. So, Azula and Sloane are able to team up with Alejandro and Toga. Now, this means that they originally were going to go with Bowser and Andreas, but after their mediocre showing over these past few days, coupled with the fact that they're kind of just dumb, and they're both kind of just bros that will never flip on each other and can't be manipulated. Well, outside of Toga, these three people all believe they can manipulate each other. Only one of them's right, though. I won't say which one. I think that they would probably switch up on them and go for that, go for Andreas and Bowser instead. This is also because, remember, Sloan and Azula are still at least kind of loyal to Zomboss and Afton. So, and whenever it comes to elimination, let me just quickly make sure. I don't think there's anything else I need to say on Heather Surtur Fiore's favorites. Not really. So, outside of like Fiore being really pissed off with Venom getting freaking killed twice and calling him a wuss. Um, but when it comes to elimination, we come down to a 7-2 vote where the person eliminated is Andreas. Now, guys, I said last time that there was a lot of characters in this show that I really wanted to do a lot of arcs, and I have to eliminate people, so I do plan on having some more non-elimination rounds at some point. I don't want that to be so soon. So when it came to elimination today, I thought, all right, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have Alejandro's allies lose. That way, I'm not going to do this every season, but I can have one person get knocked off every team at the beginning. But then I said, if it's Andreas or Bowser, I'm either picking between Bowser, who, while there is another Mario rep, which also has Multiverse credit already from being in Season 2, I think that Bowser probably needs a lot more since he's super iconic, he's super popular, he'll look great on the thumbnails. And overall, he's just great for clickbait, and I'm sure more people are rooting for him than Andreas, who, while I love Andreas, I might actually like Andreas more than Bowser. He's not really able to go on his Amphibia arc of overcoming his father in the core and all of that. So, at least not yet. So, I decided also there is another Amphibia rep with Sasha, and also Marcy competed in Season 1, and I already said the thing about I'm kind of alluding to the fact already that we may or may not be seeing the end of Anne. So, I don't think we're going to need so much Amphibia focus, especially because this season I'm trying to shift the focus to a few other series that I really enjoy. With Fortnite still being like the big one, but PvZ's taking a bit of a backseat, Amphibia's taking a bit of a backseat outside of like Sasha. So I decided to go for Andreas, but who knows? Maybe he'll come back from Midas's prison once we get to the comeback challenge. However, that will not be for a while. So I hope you'll do stick around to get to the comeback challenge, and hopefully way after that. Now after season 3, I think I said this last time, but I do want to say after season 3, I am considering remaking season 1, so definitely go watch that. But what my plan is for the rest of the Multiverse, I don't know where else to put this, right? I might actually make a video that is about the plan for Multiverse at some point this week or next week. But it is to finish season 3, then go back and remake season 1, then do season 4, then remake season 2, then do season 5, then remake season 3. Yes, I know I'm talking about remaking these seasons while I'm actively making them, but these remake episodes aren't going to be what I'm making right now. They're going to be with like little animations and visuals and all kinds of stuff. There's going to be like one episode every week or two, right? They're going to be a lot bigger projects. So I want to do this for y'all so that y'all can see the story unfold, and then when the remake happens, it won't just be new visuals. There might be an elimination or two that changes, and a lot of plot points might change and become better as well. But I really want to make this the best experience possible because I do really care about this story, right? And it's the first chance I get to really share my stories that I've created. And then maybe someday I can share stories with my own characters, right? That's what my mom wants me to do, at least. But I've yapped for way too long, so I gotta get to the post-credit scenes at some point, so I cannot wait to catch y'all on Friday for the next episode of Total Villain Multiverse. See ya. Hey guys, so I was about to do my post-credit scenes, right? And I realized that my dumbass completely forgot about Boney Island. So, I guess our first post-credit scene today is going to be Boney Island. I gotta do this quickly because this video is already really long, but basically, how this goes is we cannot have Azula, Magica, or Venom go back up. And while Alejandro thought about just sending Toga over again, he decided to go ahead and send Bowser, mainly because Bowser is really sad that his buddy's gone, and frankly, none of these people give a crap, so they just send him there to give him something to do. Maybe he can prove himself a little bit to the team, not to get him voted out next. On Heather's herd, I think that they probably would go. I think that Death would probably go for it because Death wants to Death wants to kind of getting good with the girls here, so he thinks that maybe he can do that if he gets this advantage. Meanwhile, on Fiore's favorites, also Heather didn't really care, so she let Death go. Fiore's favorites, Fiore would probably suggest. I don't know who she'd suggest. I think actually, yes, I do. She would. This is kind of fucked up, but she would suggest Sasha, since Wanda's been getting really annoyed with dealing with Sasha these past few days, but not to the point where she's gonna vote Sasha out because she actually like needs Sasha. So she's like, yeah, just send her over there because they don't really care about her feelings. Um, well, Sasha's sent over there, and to make sure Sasha doesn't go like insane, like actually insane, she's given Wanda gives her basically tells her, "Hey, you have to find this advantage, and if you do, I can free you. I can use the advantage to free you of even more." Stress and stuff, and Sasha's like, "Oh my goodness, that's amazing." Now Sasha's not really thinking with her head very much, so she agrees to that. So that's why she won't go like actually insane. So while Anne and Marcy went to go confront Sasha, the rest of the MFA was just gathering their things and getting ready to leave. Mainly because they kind of just wanted to get out of here with all the villains and stuff. And they all kind of got their asses kicked. They're pretty annoyed with Lauren, as I said earlier. But Patrice, who controls the Rift Gun, not for any particular reason, she's just the one that currently has it on her, is approached by N. And N says, "Hey, so I was wondering, my life's kind of boring, just sitting in the bunker. So I was wondering if I could actually come with you on this big trip." And Patrice is like, "Well, I mean, Ezekiel wants more dudes, so sure, why not? You're friends with Lauren as well, so a friend of hers is a friend of ours. So sure, welcome aboard." And N's like, "Well, actually, it's not just gonna be me if I come." And Patrice is like, "Why?" And then N says, "Well, back whenever I was invited to come to this challenge, like a few days ago, I also convinced Lauren to have my girlfriend Uzi come and watch." And Patrice is like, "Oh, so she's coming too?" And then N's like, "Yeah, that's fine." Patrice's like, "You know what? Sure, why not? It doesn't really matter to me." So, back in the middle of the challenge, Sloane entered the coordinates using all the remnants of 0 point energy that were in the Zero hangar, and or the reality hangar, whatever you want to call it, and she went into the PVZ reality. Now, I know I just said the PVZ reality will not be important to the story any longer. Well, I kind of only lied a little bit because this is the last major thing that will happen in this reality. This is because the reality is full of everyone's humans again. Everyone is back to normal. The plants are celebrating. There's a bunch of celebrations going on, and everyone's helping rebuild the world together. Now, Zomboss's lair still resonates here. However, it's been completely ransacked, all except for one secret underground base, which she knows about because Zomboss told her during the whole planning stage. And she goes down there searching for something that Zomboss never completed. This is called the Zombot. So before Zomboss shifted his focus to figuring out how to travel the multiverse, he was actually originally going to build the Zombot instead. But instead, he figured out multiversal travel and abandoned the project. Now, Zomboss also abandoned it because it was just too hard to make, and he was getting frustrated with it. He's really smart. Even as the head scientist, he was incredibly smart, but he has a big ego. He rushes things. He's got a temper. He's not great. So Dr. Sloan is everything he would want to be. And she plans on taking these plans, modifying them, and creating her own quote unquote Zombot that she's going to dub the Zero Bot. And this thing is how she plans not to take over the whole multiverse or any of that stupid stuff, but to reclaim Reality Zero, execute Chris, Chef, freaking Lauren, anyone who's messed with the multiverse at all, except for her. So Peely, Sky, all those people. And she's going to reclaim Reality Zero, reestablish her company, the IO, and revive Geno. Now, if you don't know who that is a person that let's just say he might be able to take down Sky.